Opening the cell doors and letting the inmates free is an idea Pontotoc County Sheriff John Christian thought he would never have to consider.
And we're talking about anywhere from murder, all the way across the board down to some simple misdemeanors. But so over half my population in jail could walk out April Fool's Day.
In a landmark decision last summer, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that the state of Oklahoma has no legal jurisdiction over crimes involving American Indians committed on tribal lands because their reservations had never been disestablished by Congress. 27 Oklahoma counties are either entirely or partially Indian country. Crimes involving American Indians on those tribal lands will now have to be prosecuted by federal or tribal authorities. The Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals backed up the Supreme Court's decision on March 11th when it reversed the judgment and sentence in the case of Bosse v. State and said their mandate is stayed for 20 days from the delivery and filing of their decision. Most of Pontotoc County is Chickasaw Nation land. The rest is Choctaw Nation. Christian tells us, as a result of the rulings, when a call comes in, they ask if the crime involves a member of a federally recognized tribe. If the answer is yes, they refer them to Chickasaw Light Horse Police.
That's difficult. I feel like I was elected by majority of the people in Pontotoc County, and that's Indian and non-Indian. And so therefore I feel like I represent both. This ruling has made a determination that no, I don't represent both. I only represent a part of those, the non-Indian.
And cases they've worked hard to investigate are now in limbo. Take the case of Tanner Washington, for example. He was arrested in December 2019, accused of murdering his teenage girlfriend, Faith Lindsay. She went missing that October. Her body was never found. The pressure is on for Oklahoma's district attorneys to get the cases turned over to federal authorities, the only ones with legal jurisdiction over major crimes like murder on tribal land. Washington is not a member of a tribe, but Lindsay, the victim, was. So, he is one of an estimated 70-plus inmates at the Pontotoc County Justice Center. Christian says he will be forced to let go on March 31st if federal or tribal authorities don't come pick them up. District Attorney Paul Smith is over Hughes, Pontotoc, and Seminole counties. He says he doesn't interpret the 20-day stay in the Bosse ruling to apply to all cases involving American Indians.
It doesn't matter if there's a 20-day mandate in the Bosse case. It has no effect on the inner workings of any of those cases. But each case that's in the Pontotoc County Jail now, each inmate, each of those cases have their own inner workings. In other words, there may not be an order to release them because they either haven't been properly presented in district court in terms of a motion to dismiss, or they're pending a decision on that, or those decisions that have been made are on appeal.
Smith says while their caseload hasn't increased, the work involved certainly has.
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking and a huge burden. We're not accustomed to doing the kind of appeals that we're doing, the number of appeals we're having to do. We've seen the handwriting on the wall. We've worked with our other law enforcement partners, in particular the federal government, the U.S. Attorney's Office. Met with the FBI and the U.S. attorneys numerous times.
We're told Washington's case is in process. Caleb Bourne was arrested and charged with arson, robbery, kidnapping, and murder in 2017. His case was dismissed after citing lack of jurisdiction following McGirt. The district attorney's office lost their chance at an appeal after filing the request one day too late, but ultimately, given that Bourne is a member of a federally recognized tribe and the nature of his crimes, it's another case only the federal government can prosecute. Bourne is still locked up for murdering a fellow inmate in January. After the Bosse ruling, acting United States Attorney Christopher J. Wilson issued a statement saying his office planned to build on the framework they set in place following the McGirt ruling. This framework includes creating Indian country prosecution teams, securing attorneys and support staff from other U.S. attorneys' offices to serve terms in the Eastern District, as well as establishing case intake and referral procedures in cooperation with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Wilson said. The expansion of federal criminal jurisdiction resulting from the Hogner and Bosse rulings will no doubt dramatically increase our caseload, but I am confident the men and women of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District will rise to the challenge. VNN reached out to Wilson for a follow-up to see how that's going, but did not hear back by the time the story was published. For American Indians already found guilty of murder by Oklahoma judges, the 5-year federal statute of limitations could mean the time they've served is all they're going to serve.
The concept of all these people walking out of jails and prisons, yes, that is a real likely possibility, unless we get some relief.
Convicted prisoners who've been locked up that long are already being released, like Russell Nesbitt. His 18-year sentence for shooting with intent to kill was commuted, and he walked free last week. Smith said a group flew to Washington, D.C. to get Congress to take some kind of action in February of 2020, but they never did, and he doesn't expect them to. Following the McGirt and Bossie rulings, Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter also called on Congress to pass legislation allowing the state to partner with the Cherokee and Chickasaw nations on criminal jurisdiction as required by federal law. We spoke with Alex Grozowski, Oklahoma Attorney General's spokesperson, on Thursday. He provided us with the following statement. We can confirm that we are in the process of developing next steps in our legal strategy with regard to recent court decisions in order to ensure that Oklahomans, both Native Americans and non-Native Americans, are safe in their person and property, and will make a further statement by the deadline Wednesday.
I've been told that my district court judge put those people in jail and he's the only one that can release them. Well, my argument is I have a higher court saying that they'll be released in 20 days if they're not picked up by somebody. Who do I listen to? So I'm hoping to get direction before that date comes, but I feel like on April Fool's Day I will be releasing a lot of people out of my jail. I don't want to. I don't have a choice.
We reached out to the Chickasaw Nation for insight on the impacts the recent rulings are having on their justice system, and we'll share that information when it becomes available. In Pontotoc County, Brittany Harlow, VNN.